Everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Marketing Mondays, a 5-part digital marketing webinar series. I'm Jolene Carey Pace, the program coordinator at the Wilkes University Small Business Development Center. I'm so happy that all of you could join us this afternoon. This 5-part series is hosted in partnership with IdeaWorks Marketing and Cole Creative. Today, for our 4th session, Boosting Your Digital Reputation, we have Samuel O'Connell, Creative Director, and Travis Antonello, Website Developer at Cole Creative, joining us today. Just a quick note to please put yourselves on mute so that we can avoid having any background noise. And also, as we go along, you can type any questions that you might have into the chat box, and there will also be time at the end of the presentation to ask any questions you might have. And now I will hand it over to Sam and Travis. Thank you.
Thank you, Jolene. Once again, we're really excited to be here. Last week was a lot of fun, so we're looking forward to diving deeper this week. Now, last week we discussed getting your business online, if it's not online or if you're in the process of getting online, and why that's important. So whether that was a website, developing, building, and releasing a website online, or through social media. So this week, we are really going to be focusing on expanding your reach online and getting the word out there by means of search engine optimization, which is why I'm really excited that Travis is joining me here today. He is truly an expert in the realms of web development and SEO, and he's been a real game changer for us here at Cole Creative. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get a slideshow going. Everybody see me and Travis here?
Yep, I see it at least.
Perfect. So there's me and Travis photoshopped here together. Haven't seen them in a very long time due to this terrible pandemic, but it's good to be seen here in this Photoshop version of us, very close to each other. But I am the creative director here at Cole Creative, and I work really closely with our clients to execute their vision and make sure it meets their their vision, and making sure that it's effective when it goes out there and engages with the public who are their potential customers. That's what I do. Travis, passing it over to you.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Travis Antonello, a web developer at Cole Creative. So I work closely with our lead web developer, Matt Simoncavage, as well as our designers and all of our content creators to get websites built for our partners and clients and get them rolling.
Yeah, and our web team at Cole Creative I've been in this industry for a little while, and they're the best of the best. So you're getting some good information today from Travis here. So like I said, we're going to be talking SEO today and just getting you've built your site, now what? So it's unfortunately not as easy as just getting a website landing page out there and leaving it and forgetting it and having that generate all this traffic and income. It is a little bit of a work in progress and a labor of love that always needs to be updated and really consistently added to make sure that these search engines such as Google, Bing, Yahoo, etc., they deem your website as relevant or valuable for anybody who might be looking for that information. Just a little bit more about Cole Creative. That's our core team there. We're a group of millennial marketers in downtown Wilkes-Barre who are really community minded and focused in nature. And that really trickles through all of our work. And we have a web development team, a video production team, a content team, which works with clients on creating social media content, as well as traditional forms of media, as well as a strategy team. So there we are. So Travis, feel free to hop in at any point here with some more tidbits, as this is truly your realm, and and I don't want to speak too much or overspeak. So feel free to do so. But SEO stands for search engine optimization, which basically means, are you developing or designing your website in a way that so when people type in relevant keywords, which we'll learn more about, that your website is coming up, especially locally. Cool. I know that's just the slide one. So a few important terms that you might see thrown around when you're trying to dig in a little bit more and learn more about how SEO is, how is SEO determined. And there are three words that could be really helpful here is indexing, web crawlers, and sitemaps. Web crawlers are not spiders, but they are often referred to them as spiders.
I can hop in here too, just running through these terms. So indexing, that refers to, are you the number one results on Google, or in which order are you appearing? So indexing better would be that you're appearing more so on the first or second page of Google. So that's what that refers to as. Web crawlers is that refers to the actual bots that are parsing all of the content on your web pages. So Google has their own web crawlers that are, programmed to go through all the page content. So does Bing, Yahoo, all those search engines have their own web crawlers with their own slight differences. So it's not just magic. Your stuff doesn't just appear on Google. There's actually scripts running and bots that are parsing through all of that content. And sitemap, what a sitemap is, that's pretty much the map that's given to those crawlers that says, so it's literally like a text file, or for anybody that's a little more, hands-on with the web stuff, it could be like an XML file that's generated by a plugin, or it could be even a text file that you write yourself that says, hey, here are all of my pages. Here's how I want you to crawl it. Here's how often you should check for changes. So that's just the blueprint of your website, and it tells all those bots, here's how you should look, here's how often you should look.
Sure. And those are great overviews for those three words, and which are really vital to understanding and creating an SEO marketing strategy that is effective. And oftentimes at CoCreative, if someone's coming with us to either enhance or increase their standing in an SEO realm, that's something that everybody knows that they want to be on the first page, but how to get there is not as simple as 1, 2, 3. And it is truly, if you're strategic about it, you can really make an impact and get higher pretty quickly, because not everybody practices, best SEO practices when they're working on their websites or developing their website. Now, if you remember last week, we did talk a little bit more about the different types of ways that you can get a website. So if you're building it yourself, certainly some of these could be a challenge. If you're working with a freelancer, you got to make sure that you are asking them the right questions to ensure that these SEO practices are being paid attention to. And then if you're working with an agency like CoCreative, typically this agency will move forward with those SEO best practices in mind, but it's certainly good to be knowledgeable, at least on a base level, of what's going on behind the scenes, what's going on under the hood that makes your website or website platform be found on search engines. So this next page is just a little bit more about web crawlers, basically an overview prepared based on information from SEO MOZ or Moz, which is one of the leading authorities on understanding how SEO is determined, quantified, and ranked. So those web crawlers, it's during the process in which search engines send out a team of robots known as crawlers or spiders to find new and updated content. Content can vary. It can be a web page, an image, a video, a PDF, but regardless of the format, the content is discovered by links. So these crawlers truly do, like Travis said, they on a consistent basis will check your website for more information and determine whether or not your content is valuable. And that's when it's indexed, like Travis said, and that's where you appear on the page. So moving right along, and like Jolene said, feel free at any point to pop a comment. And if we're moving too fast, or if you want us to dig in a little bit deeper on any specific information. Now a sitemap, Travis gave a great overview, but there's truly three different types of sitemaps, and we'll go over those three types and how you can use them, and essentially what types of scenarios you would use them in. It's a list of pages of a website within a domain. So in the references, we're going to look at our own website, so colecreative.com, and how those pages are determined and that map that we truly are providing for those crawlers to make their experience more efficient, and which having them, those crawlers having an efficient experience on our website dramatically improves our rankings. So 3 different types are sitemaps used during the planning of a website by its designers. So when someone comes and they say, I am looking to make a website, these are my services. Oftentimes the first step for us is to truly design, how does that appear on a website in the navigational bar, and where do all those different pages lead to? And then the human visible listings, typically hierarchical of the pages on the site. So therefore, this is again dealing with the navigation. So you might say about, there might be our story, and then there might be meet the team. These are all under the different headings or items within a navigational bar. And then structured listings intended for web crawlers such as search engines, which Travis touched upon. Now, here's an example of from the design perspective, what our website sitemap looks like. So I have this home icon at the top, which typically a website, when your logo is at the top, you click that and it takes you back to the home page. You could see our about, and then you could see that hierarchy of the different types of information or pages that go under, that we deem to be in the realm of our about. So you see meet the team, our blog, press, recognition, our services. We break that down, pretty like we really break down our services, what we do and how we do them within these different pages, which again we'll get to later. But breaking down what you do in a way that's valuable and informational is really good for SEO, whether it's a blog or a page itself. And then you can see we have all of our other pages listed. This is the navigation for your website. We got this way. This is Matt, our lead designer and developer, by creating this is in the design phase. We literally design what the site is going to look like by writing it on a whiteboard. You can do this on a piece of paper, or if you're using Microsoft Word, you can create boxes. And this is something that you would provide to your developer, or if you're developing it yourself, you want to create a visual map of how your website's going to look and how people are going to navigate through it. Make sure that it makes sense. Make sure that it's easy to understand. It's easy for people to understand what you do, who you are, and why you do it. And then furthermore, how they can reach out to you and procure your services or purchase your products. All of our websites start in this phase, this draft phase, where we truly do design the site from A to Z. Now, how you come up on a website search is based on what people are typing for at the end of the day. So what kind of keywords or phrases are you using? And even Travis, you can speak more to this. Google is always improving how their algorithm, which maybe you can even explain what that is, searches for things. So it really is looking for phrases rather than just simply keywords these days.
Right. So just keeping in mind, when you're searching for something, sort of the old way that was brought up before was using lots of keywords. So people would think they have to have all these certain keywords, peppered throughout their web page. But when you are actually typing in Google, you're not typing, I'll use the nachos example, like nachos, cheese, chips. Like you're not typing that kind of phrase. You're searching where can I get nachos in Wilkes-Barre? So you're searching for these phrases rather than these keywords. And also keeping in mind the voice assistant technology. When you're saying, okay, Google, and I'm probably going to trigger my thing over there. But you're actually I don't understand. Yep, there it is. But you're actually speaking that phrase out and not just, chunked words. So that's what you want to keep in mind, is like these longer phrases rather than just keywords.
Yeah, I mean, technology on a week to week, if not day to day basis, is rapidly changing, and search engines are also shifting and changing to accommodate what's happening in the world around us, how people are interacting with technology. And it truly makes a difference to understand what options, how people are searching for things if you want to appear. And we'll get a little bit more into that as we go.
Right. And to jump into that algorithm thing, you'll hear every once in a while, it'll come up in tech news or on articles saying like, oh, Google is changing their algorithm. Are you ready? Like, is your website ready? So essentially, the people that are programming Google's web crawlers and indexing, they've developed this to a point where they can sort of look at the content of a page and say, is this actually valuable information? Are people finding this information valuable? Should we be showing this page to people? Ultimately, with figuring out if your page content is going to make Google algorithms happy, number one is just making sure it's useful information and something that people are going to deem worthy of showing other people. So that's just one way of thinking about this, these algorithms and how they're always changing.
For sure. And then when you're in the beginning planning stages of your site, or even if you're looking to update it, truly, what are your top 10 keywords that you want people to integrate into these phrases in order for your product, service, or business to appear? And how can you use them throughout the site in a way that's not just copying and pasting the words, that provides value and would make you appear in a ranking? Make a game out of it and see, okay, well, I made all these changes and now I'm here on the website, or now I'm here on Google. And it's pretty fun, and the results obviously have an impact on your business, so it's important too. Now, one question that we do get asked in regards to SEO and getting people to your site is it worth having social media? Travis, do you have any opinions on that?
It is 100% worth having social media. Though I will say having less better maintained social media is better than having multiple accounts that you barely post on. But ultimately, you're creating all of these new pages that can come up in Google for free. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think quality and quantity, when it can be combined, is so good. So the more links that you have going to your website is extremely valuable. But like Travis said, if you're not updating a social media, it's better to not have it, just because outdated information can be a turnoff, or you could lose a customer's trust. And they pull up your Facebook account or your Instagram and you haven't posted in 3 years.
Yeah.
A question will arise: is this business still in operation? And is this still, is this content relevant to me and what I'm trying to find?
Definitely.
So, like you said, a consistent and positive presence on social media is often a game changer when it comes to getting people to find you on your website. So a couple tips and tricks here, which, they may seem obvious, but we're just going to talk about each one just to make sure, you fully grasp how important it is to have good quality content. Some great tips to increase your standing on SEO is have a blog. If you're an expert on what you do, it could be as simple as writing 1 to 2 paragraphs, but just make sure that you're creating consistent content on the website, and make sure that you're using those keywords that you determined are valuable, and keep that updated, because all your keywords are going to be coming up in Google searches. Those phrases are more likely to appear if you are consistently utilizing them within a valuable blog post. Sometimes FAQ pages are really good because you're asking questions and answering them, which those questions are very likely to appear in that vocal search. What's in a nacho? If we're staying with a nacho theme, where can I find nachos near me? That is the question that we asked earlier. So you can get really granular with the questions that are asked and then the answers in that FAQ page. It's a great way to get people to your site. Now, Google has free SEO auditing tools, so you can really you can examine how your site is ranked, and as far as getting a score on that website. And we're going to have an activity in a moment here where if anybody's willing, we could look at their website, But if not, we'll look at our own, and we will use some of those tools to see how sites are ranked. One thing that Travis actually taught me is image quality can have a real impact on how fast or slow your website loads. Sometimes you'll go on a website and the site will load really slow. It's because their images that are on the site, they're massive, and it takes a long time for your web browser, based on the speed of it, to open that up, and that loading times has an effect on SEO. So Google My Business, if you don't have it, it's free, and it's a great way for people to find you when they Google you, is have that Google My Business account. So that's kind of a couple tips that we put together here. But truly, as we stated a little earlier, the number one best way to improve SEO is publish relevant content. So whether that's content on the pages or through a blog, this simple act of publishing that relevant content to what your business, organization, service does is to keep consistently adding content to the site. All right, so we're going to get into the activity. Travis, I'm going to actually have you share your screen, if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And is there anybody on this chat who would potentially like to have their website, have anybody review their website, or have us use these tools on your website to see how your SEO ranks? Okay, yarnshop.com.
All right, I'm going to share this window. So I'll ask questions along the way and make sure that everything is working as expected. Okay, I'll pull up this chat. Workingyarnshop.com. Okay, is that appearing right, Sam?
Looks good to me.
All right, cool. Cool. Looks like a web store here. So yes, Google has built-in dev tools, and part of that dev tool suite is what's called Lighthouse, and that lets you do audits of a few different types. So I'm going to press F12 here, and Sam, do you see this panel come up?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So on the right side, you'll see that there's categories of performance, PWA. You don't have to really worry about best practices, accessibility, and SEO is the one we're interested. So I'm going to have that check marked. And then you could also check on different device types. So you can run an audit on your mobile site versus your desktop site, just in case any of that content is changing. So I'm going to select desktop, and I'm going to hit generate report. It's going to work a little magic here. And so you'll see this appear. I'm going to see if I could zoom in just a little bit. So 92 on the homepage. So what this will do is it will say if there's any weak spots, it's going to show you what that is and what you can do to change that. So the one that appears here, the only thing that it found was that the document or the page itself does not have a meta description. And so I'll elaborate on a little bit of stuff here. Every page has a title and a description. So that's what you're seeing when you go to Google and you see, you'll see this page title here, and you'll see this description. So those are known as the meta title and the meta description. So one thing that you can do here is, so this looks like a Square shop. So somewhere in this website builder, you should have the ability to add a description for this homepage here, and you'll be able to give like a nice homepage synopsis of what the site is, what people can expect on it. And that'll be what shows up here. All right.
Yeah, I think just from looking at workingyarnshop.com, like Travis said, it does have a very high from that from the Lighthouse Tools perspective,
Yeah,
a
92 is
92.
great.
But I think there's a way to even enhance that even more, because 90, while it is based on the audit, it did receive a good score. That doesn't mean it's going to be appearing high in SEO or in people's searches, so to speak.
Right. There's a lot of competition.
Yeah, I think some positives on this Working Yarn Shop website is that it does list its location, as well as it does Northeast PA's best selections, which is a hint to where it's found. So if people are searching best yarn in Northeastern Pennsylvania, it's likely that that's going to appear. It does have, you know, the Avoca location signified. And even below it has the different types of yarns listed. So if people are searching for that specific type of yarn, you know, they're going to be able to find that. One thing that I think would enhance it is something as soon as you get to that page, right under the live in moments that matter, perhaps a quick about. So what is Working Yarn Shops? Maybe even adding an about to the home, the navigation bar above, and saying a little bit of the why behind it and how you got into it, which allows for some more content to be put in there and could be seen as more valuable. Because right now it feels, you know, like a shop, which is great, but just based on doing a little bit more investigating, I'm not sure if that's all that you do. So I think, you know, talking about the different types of parties or events that you could have there, I think would be another thing to greatly enhance the SEO, how people find you on Google or Bing or what have you.
Right. Were there any other sites in here? Yeah, lots of competition, I'm sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. I'm not sure if anybody else in the chat has a website that they would like us to go ahead and take a look at. Cool. And if not, we could even just to give you another example, perhaps we can take a look at Cole Creative.
Yeah, for sure.
Now this is there's a lot more on Cole Creative to analyze and review. Our homepage is pretty long in, you know, it contains a lot of information, a lot of navigational cues. So it might take a moment to go ahead and process that. But we developed our own website with the intention of taking any visitor on a journey, so that by the time they got to the end of the homepage, they knew exactly who we were, what we did, and how they could learn more or reach out. As you can see right on the homepage, we have a video header, which for us as a video production company is very important, but there is the potential for it to slow the site speed down a little bit based on how we did it, but I think we've done it in an effective way.
Okay. All right, so also a 92 here. One thing that comes up, search links are not crawlable. So one thing we can do is identify what that element is. And also sometimes on these tools, there are like, I don't want to say false positives, but sometimes elements aren't exactly what the Lighthouse thinks it is. So what this link is actually, it's not a link to anywhere, which is why this is coming up as not crawlable. It's just a JavaScript link that opens up a menu. So that's why this is coming up as not crawlable. But that is one of the many things that also needs manual checking. So
sure.
The structured data being valid, that's another thing that the Lighthouse can't just, it's not fully automatic. There is a lot of manual checking things here. So this link is one of those.
Awesome. Yeah, I think even if you scroll down our website's page, some things that we do to enhance our SEO is we do talk about our own community, but recently we have taken a focus on maybe getting some clients, you know, beyond NEPA. So it's definitely not our main focus on our homepage here, but we share testimonials, which had some validity, and we are able to link to some of our clients, which actually does help even their SEO by having us link to them. It's just a little benefit that they receive from collaborating with us. If you scroll down, you'll see a very active portfolio. We write information about our team, and even we blog. We write several blogs per month, which are really peppered with our keywords, but they're still fun to read. They still got a lot of value to them, and it has a great effect on our SEO. And people find us from near and wide based on the SEO efforts that are put into our website.
Yeah, like you said, I want to mention the linking. That is one thing that is very easy to do. That has a great effect on SEO, is providing links to external websites. But one thing you can also do is link to your own posts. So when we're creating these blog posts, one thing we keep in mind is linking out to these companies we're talking about, or these partners we're talking about. But we can also link to other blog posts that are relevant, and sort of create this chain of links you could follow, and sort of fall down into a rabbit hole of just reading content and reading content. There's a term, if you're curious, that you can Google, called link authority, which basically says if a well-known company has like a nice big website that people, it has a big authority. If it provides a link somewhere else, there's a good chance that it's something you should know about, because this company has this authority, this reputation. So if they link out to you, there's a good chance, okay, you might mean something, you might be worth checking out. So that's one of those many floaty SEO terms that you can check out and start digging into. Is link authority.
A great way to get link authority is perhaps even sending out press release if you do something, because local news outlets, if they do a story about your business, they'll often link to your website, and that's a great way to get links to your website, by making sure that if they are doing a story on you, make sure they have your website link so that they can add that to the story. And increase that link authority. Great thing for us is we're involved in things like the American Advertising Association, and they link to us from their directory, and that counts as a positive link, for that link authority. And there's all sorts of databases that you can get onto, which would link back to your site, which would be viewed as a website with authority.
So there was a question that popped up in chat from Ricky. How important is your website name in SEO? For that, I would say your actual website name. I don't think you have to put too much weight into changing your name if you don't think it's going to be good. I think your branding overall is probably more important than trying to find the perfect title. But that description that follows your title is probably going to be more important. So also, when you're talking about your website name, you'll see up here we have the website, the title for this homepage is Cool Creative, and then that pipe symbol, and we have this sort of, not catchphrase, but this phrase here that says fuel your website video strategy. So that was something we consciously added to our homepage description for people who are looking to do some work on their website or video or their marketing strategy. So don't change your name if you're thinking of that, but keep that in mind that you can add that little tagline, or work in that description.
Sure. I think there's a finite amount of URLs that you can get. I mean, obviously, every once in a while someone will forget to renew theirs and you could grab it, but it's getting harder and harder to find domains. And sometimes when you find that one that's perfect for your business or name, people want to sell it for exorbitant fees.
Yeah.
Some people put a little bit too much stock into getting that URL, because it is, having the original .com is certainly a thrill, but it's not make or break.
Definitely. Yeah. There is that psychological element to it where if someone has the .com, they're like the big shot of whatever that is. Also keeping in mind, there are a lot of new, they're called TLDs, the thing at the end of your domain, like .com, .net. There are a lot of new ones popping up that sort of have this like super modern feel to it. There's like .art or like .band.
Yeah.
So that is something that's more like the psychology of it, like the branding element of it rather than SEO. But that is something to keep in mind too. Like you can still have whatever you want, but if you're an artist, you can have .art, or if you're a band, .band, and yeah.
.dog, there's truly a something probably relevant to your industry, which is another way to get that I have my business name .something, which is important just because there's only so many URLs out there. If there's a lot of people in the same field, it can get hard to grab one. Great question though. I would say that's probably one of the big myths, is that you have to get the original .com in order for people to take it seriously, but more so it's not the case.
And
Any other, what's that?
I did see a comment from Christine. I have a press release, had a great article in the paper, and more business. Yeah, it does a lot getting that press out there and getting those links out there.
Yeah, we found the difference between paid media or earned media, which would be earned media being like a press release. That's a great way to get yourself out there, not only in traditional means in your own neighborhood, but like we're talking about, getting that link authority up, because the local paper or local news, they're adding that link in there, hopefully, and even behind the scenes, increasing your link authority.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing that I have seen come up in the past is you do have the ability to contact these editors or edit these authors, or reach out to these authors who can potentially add in links if they're feeling nice enough. You can request that and say, hey, like, I saw this article about me, here's my website. They might be willing to go in and add in that link. So that is something to keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Get in there as much as possible. And then, another way just to really easily get your website linked to from other sources is to add yourself to any database that might be relevant into your industry. If you're a part of the local Chamber of Commerce, make sure that they have your website and your link, because their directories often include links and whatnot. So see what you're a part of and see if they'll post your link for you. That's just a great way to build that link authority, so that when these crawlers are crawling your site, they do see that your site is authentic, relevant, etc. Awesome. Now that is the end of our presentation, our official presentation, as far as slides go and as far as this activity goes. I don't know if anybody has any questions or thoughts. I think a good resource for anybody who would like one, and can certainly feel free to reach out, would be this SEO tool that you use, Travis. We can make a quick document of how to use it, how to get it plugged in, as well as a couple other options to look at your own website's SEO and see how it compares. A great thing to do to test SEO is maybe even run these reports on your competitors' websites to see how they're ranking, see what they're doing right, see what they're doing wrong, and see how you can potentially get the edge over them in certain aspects. But feel free to drop any questions in the comments here before we wrap up.
You mentioned a question from Ricky. You mentioned .png versus .jpeg images, which loads faster. So there is the concern of transparency. So oftentimes PNGs are used for images that have transparency. So if you're dropping a logo like over a background, like a lot of times that's a logo with a transparent background. But generally, JPEG images load faster, especially if you're using the type called progressive JPEGs, which you may have seen when you're loading a website. a big image loads, but it's sort of blurry at first, and then it loads another pass and it gets a little less blurry, and then it loads another pass. So you can load those super, super fast. So there's this metric in page loading times called time to first paint, which means how quickly does the whole website load. So if you're using an image that gets, it just does the first pass and it's instantly there, the first paint is there faster. But PNGs aren't compressed versus JPEGs, which you can compress at different levels based on your needs for the image quality. So generally, when you're not using transparency, it's best to go with a JPEG that is compressed to the level that you want the image fidelity to be there. And if you can use the progressive load speeds, do that for sure.
Some great question, Ricky. And like I was noting, we'll get together that resource so that you can check your own site, check your competitors' sites, check your favorite websites, see how they rank in SEO, how Google determines, essentially the readability of their website. And I think it's a great tool for getting started and getting your SEO, whether it's you're remaking your website or just updating it, getting that on track and making sure that people can find you. And just as a quick plug for next Monday, our final session here at Marketing Mondays, we're going to be talking about marketing your business from home. So you can expect us to go give a quick overview of how to effectively market yourself on social media, as well as some of that earned media we were talking about today, as well as social media advertising. I know that's something that people are really curious about, and it's one of the more relatively new forms of advertising that can be really effective.
And if there are no other questions, I do just want to take a minute, Sam and Travis, and thank you for being here with us today and really sharing your expertise with us. We really appreciate it. It was very insightful. And I do want to note for the participants that I will be making available the recording of this training on the Wilkes SBDC YouTube channel. And I will be emailing that link to all attendees so that you'll have that. As Sam mentioned, the fifth and final session in our series is Monday, May 24th at noon, and that will be on marketing your business from home. And with that, I want to thank all of you for attending this training today. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us at the SBDC. I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you all at our next session on Monday. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, Jolene. See you guys.
Thanks.
Nice
Thank
talking to
you.
everybody. Bye.